Oh, morning. Breakfast. Here in Britain, there's no finer weekend breakfast than the fry-up. I'll be doing the full English today. Other variations are available, and let me know in the comments which is yours. I won't lie, it's a fair bit of work to get all the elements together, but that said, it is absolutely worth it. Now, this breakfast isn't going to make itself, people, so let's get into it. So the first thing to get started here is sausages. I'm cooking mine in the oven, so they'll need about 25 minutes. And to get them going, I'll grab a baking tray, or sheet if you prefer, and just line that with some baking parchment to make for easier cleanup later. I'm using some great quality pork sausages from my local butcher today. Feel free to sub in whatever British banger you prefer. Lincolnshire or Cumberland both work great on a breakfast. Whatever you have to hand is fine. So I'll load these onto my lined tray and pop them straight into a cold oven. I'll turn that on to 180C or 350F. And I'll just let it preheat along with the sausages. You could preheat the oven first if you wanted, but I find that starting the sausages cold like this gets the juices running inside the sausage and helps ensure a fantastic finished product. Once the oven comes up to temperature, I'll set a timer for 15 minutes and I'll just leave those sausages to cook while I go and drink a mug of tea and look at the morning paper or scroll through TikTok, you do you. 15 minutes later, I'm back at the board. Let's set ourselves up for success by getting everything prepped. I feel like having mushrooms today, and I happen to have a few chestnut mushrooms hanging around, which will be perfect. I've just knocked off any obvious dirt, never wash a mushroom, so I'll just remove the stalks and roughly slice them up. Hey, give the video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Oi. Today we'll be doing both toast and fried bread. Yes, that's the thing. And while I'm not usually a white bread kind of guy, there's really no substitute here. Get yourself something nice, fresh and thick cut and grab 3 slices. Place 2 of these in your toaster ready for later, but don't start it yet. We're just doing this now so that we can simply press the button later when everything will be happening at once. Next, I'll set up my beans and tomatoes. I'm using some good quality tinned plum tomatoes today. It's worth spending an extra few pence on these. The difference really is night and day. To those, I'll add a good pinch of salt, and to really bring the flavour, I'll throw in a good amount of Worcestershire sauce. You might choose to skip this, but I like to add a bit of extra brightness and a sweet and sour note with a dash of balsamic vinegar. Optional, but do give it a try if you can, it just might change your life. The beans are a deeply personal thing. I really like the Branston ones, but you'll get no judgment from me if you're a Heinz person or whatever else you prefer. Just be sure to use your absolute favourites for a breakfast. So with a lid over the tomatoes to let them steam, I'll move both of these over to the hob and place them over a low heat to cook gently while I get everything else sorted out, starting with my bacon. For that, I'll get a wide frying pan over a medium-high heat and add a good squeeze of high smoke point oil to help get things started. You'll want to give the beans a stir and shake the tomato pan occasionally while they cook. Just keep an eye on them and be sure to do that whenever they look like they need it. So I'll add the bacon to this pan in a single layer. Now again, adding the bacon to the pan before it's super hot will give the fats time to run a bit and give me better bacon at the end. This is some nice dry cured back bacon, again from my local butcher, but feel free to sub in whatever bacon you have and adjust cooking times accordingly. Once the pan's heated up and the bacon has made some space, I'll add in a couple of rounds of black pudding. If you're not familiar with black pudding, it's a sort of sausage made with blood. I know that might sound like the worst thing in the world, but trust me, it's absolutely delicious. That said, if the idea doesn't appeal to you or you just can't get it where you live, then I totally get that and it's fine to leave it out. From here, I'll just cook the bacon as I normally would, keeping the heat pretty high and turning occasionally to ensure even cooking. And by the time that's done, my sausages will have been cooking for about 20 to 25 minutes and should also be done. So I'll turn off the oven and open the door slightly to let it cool down a bit. We'll be using it now as a place to keep everything hot while we finish off the rest of the breakfast. So bacon done, I'll move that onto a plate and into the oven it goes. The black pudding will need an extra minute or 2 to develop a nice colour and a bit of a crust. This looks great. I'll add that to the plate in the oven as well. So next, having given my pan a wipe with some kitchen towel, I'll place it on a high heat, add a squeeze of oil and throw in the mushrooms. High heat is essential for mushrooms. Without that, they'll release a ton of water and then proceed to stew in it, leading to slimy, underwhelming mushes, and nobody wants that. Pro tip, crank up the heat, really get them sizzling for great colour and flavour. After a minute or so, things are looking a little dry here, so I'll add in another small squeeze of oil and just give everything a toss to coat and then let them cook for 3 or 4 minutes. In the meantime, I'll make sure to check back on my beans and tomatoes. I'll just give the beans a quick stir and toss the tomatoes a little to move them around, and then I add a knob of butter to the mushrooms and toss those around while it melts to ensure even coating. This is salted butter, by the way. If you're using unsalted, you might want to also add a small pinch of salt at this point to help bring out the awesome mushroomy flavour. I'll let that cook for another minute or two until the mushrooms are tender but not overcooked, and these are perfect. So I remove them to my now warm plate along with the bacon and black pudding and return it to the oven. You can close the door now as well. It should be cooled enough that things won't dry out. The next thing we need to do is get that fried bread situation going, and for that I'll place the pan back over a medium-high heat and add another good squeeze of oil. Once it comes to temperature, in goes that lone slice of bread we prepared earlier, and I'll make sure to move it around the pan to ensure an even coating of oil. Now I'm going to fry this pretty hard, moving it around pretty much constantly and flipping to get both sides golden brown and crispy. For the final minute of cooking, I'll add another knob of butter and just keep moving the bread around to fully coat, and then I'll remove it to my warmed plate in the oven. We're in the home stretch now, so it's time to pop that toaster on to get our toast started, and then I'll give my pan a quick wipe, turn the heat down to its lowest setting and add a fresh squeeze of oil. Into the pan, I'll carefully crack 2 eggs, making sure to keep them separate, and I'll remove the lid from the tomato pan at this point too, so that the juice can reduce a bit. Frying eggs is a deeply personal thing, so just fry these to your liking. Personally, I like to fry them very gently over a low heat and baste them with the oil to just set the top while leaving the yolk completely runny, but you do you. We could spend a whole video on fried eggs, and in fact we will do that soon, but for today, just do the eggs however you like them. In the time it takes the eggs to cook, the toast should be done, so butter that generously, and then when the eggs are perfect, grab everything you've been keeping warm in the oven and plate it up. Serve this with a large mug of English breakfast tea or hot beverage of your choice, and don't be afraid to use the toast to mop up the beans, tomatoes and eggs. However you eat yours, I really hope you give this a try soon and let me know down below what you think. Thanks for watching the video folks, and keep on cooking.